To study about. So I didn't have much free time, so I had to find a way, right? So I would get this flashcard on my back side pockets. I'll go to I'll tell my commanding officer and saying, hey, I gotta go to the restroom, and then while I'm in the restroom, I'll start memorizing OChem, GChem, and biology with a flashcard. Sometime I'll tell them that I'll be they'll have lights out, right? At 10 o'clock, everything lights off, and you go into your sleeping bag. And then sometime I'll get my flashlight and then start studying my sleeping bag, right, with the lights on. So it wasn't easy to study, but that was that's something that I had to do. I was like, I'm gonna have to study, and I'm gonna take that test. I'm gonna go back to US because I need to get out of this animal-like place. I mean, it literally felt like that, right? It was so cold, cruel, and everybody hated each other, and just, right? So anyway, so it was I went by. I survived. By the way, it's not there are quite a casualty in ROK Army. I mean, obviously we're not at war, but we are. What do you call that? We're still at war in some sense. You guys know that with the North Korea, there's a peace treaty, but there's no really the war didn't actually end, right? So that we do actually quite a bit of exercise. And since I was in the tank battalion, there's a lot of incidents that happens. And since I was a medic, you get a report every month, and you're not supposed to see as a soldier. It's only the officers that usually sees that documents. But my officer didn't really care. So and he was actually younger than I was. I was pretty old, right? I was 27, I think, no, actually 27, I think, when I got into the Army. Anyway, there's about 100 to 150 casualties every month sometime from just an incident from the exercise. So you just got to survive, You just have to do your best to survive. We're not even at war, and that's how much casualty you get, right? Sometime. Anyway, so time passed. So it was time for me to schedule my test date. And then, but in order for me to get to schedule the test date, and then I couldn't take that DAT test in Korea. I had to come to US to take the test, right? So I had to have an approval from Army division or the Army officers to let me leave the country while I'm in service, which is almost impossible. And back then, this is 2011, right? That was not, that never happened. No Army soldiers, not even officer, will leave the country because they are taking a risk of you never coming back, right? Then it's a huge issue, right? It's an issue that you will see in the Korean news. Jew so and so just went to US and never came back, right? Right. So they have to be very careful with this. So when I asked my captain, hey, can you send me the letter to the upper division of the Army who can approve this, who can give me the permit to leave the country while I'm in service? Can you send this? Right? I printed a form, and then I I put all the necessary information that is needed. And then the captain, had to submit to the upper division. But obviously, my captain did not like it. It's like, because it will become his responsibility, right, if something happens. So he said no. So I asked him again, no. Ask him again, no. And all this time of, studying in the bathroom, studying in the sleeping bag, no. I'm like, God, come on. You sent me to here. I really felt like you sent me to this bottom, the just pit hole, bottom. Just, I don't want to say the HELL word, but that's how I felt, right? So I was pretty sad, and I couldn't accept it. But I couldn't do anything. I mean, the captain, I'm just like a lowest rank, and its captain is pretty high up there, right? But anyway, so the one thing that I appreciate about Korean Army back then, it wasn't very usual thing. They actually let me go to church on Saturday. Going to church on Sunday was normal thing, but this guy comes and you go to Saturday church, and they're like, nobody goes to church on Saturday, right? So I was one of a few SDA soldiers that wanted, and then there had some cases ahead of me. So they said, okay, we'll let you go to church, the local church that's very nearby our base. So that's when so I used to, I normally went there, and just one Sabbath, just after my captain said no 3-4 times, even though I asked him multiple times, nicely. I was just kind of sitting on back there, sad, and this one guy just comes into the church, right? I never seen him before. He wasn't even wearing a uniform. He was just wearing black shirts, jean, just a guy visiting, I think. I thought. But I'm not sure what got into me, but I just approached him, and I just start talking. And somehow I start talking to him about my story. This is weird, right? It's like I would never share my personal story to a stranger, but something got to me, right? So I start talking to him about my situation here. It's like, I studied in U.S. and I got into dental school, but I got rejected at the same time, and I'm now in the Korean Army, and they wouldn't let me take the test, the dang test that I have to take to go back to, and finish the school. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'll pray for you, and I'll see what I can do, right? I'm like, what are you gonna do? But anyway, I was like, okay, hey, thanks, thanks for listening at least, and I felt a little good, I felt like my burden was lifted a little bit, just to be able to talk with someone, because again, I didn't talk to my parents. The only person I was talking to was God, and I obviously didn't like him by then, right? It's like, you keep closing the door. So he went home, and then, so this is my story, right? On the same Sabbath, my mom is she's in a choir, a local church choir, right? She basically sings. She's pretty good. Like she goes to anyway, she's pretty good. So she goes to a choir practice, and she's practicing, and there was a new pianist. They came to the choir, and then and after she was done with practicing, she just kind of approached the pianist, saying, "Hey, welcome," and she started talking to her, and then something got into her too. She usually won't talk, about her personal things, especially about her son, to a stranger. Again, this was my mom meeting her for the first time. It's not like the pianist that's been there for forever, right? And then she started sharing my story to her. It's like, hey, no, my son really need to go back to U.S. to take the test, but the dang captain wouldn't let him. So she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll pray for your son. And then she went back to her house, right? So, and then this captain went back to his house. And guess what? They were a married couple. And then for the dinner time, they were just sharing their story, on the day. It's like, hey, guess what? I met this dude from this church, and he somehow wanted to go to U.S. to take some test, a weird test to get into dental school in U.S., right? And she's like, well, I talked to this 할머니, right? Grandma. Right now she's grandma, right? But anyway, that her son needed to go to U.S. to take the test too. And she said it's a dental test. And I think we're talking about the same person, right? That was miracle number one. And guess what? The guy was a captain. And then he was a captain of the same branch that I was serving at. All right? And then he was a captain that served under two-star general. And guess what? Who can approve my permit to go to U.S.? Two-star general. Right? One-star can't do it. Has to be two-star general who can give me the permission to leave the country. So he goes to work, and then he meets his own boss, right? This captain that I met from the church, and says, "Hey, I got this guy. Seems like he's a very devoted Christian guy. I don't think he's the type of guy that will never come back. And I think he's good." And then this two-star calls my captain, the base of my captain, very next Monday, saying, "Hey, I heard there's a guy named, Sean, Jew, and he wanted to go to U.S. Send that request right now." And my captain called me. "What happened over the weekend? The heck did you do?" Two-star called my office. That never happens, right? There's so many ranks in between two-star and captain, right? I was like, I don't know. I met just random guy. That's all I did. Anyway, so I got it. I got the permission, right? So I scheduled the date. I scheduled that date around August, where that's when so we do a lot of military exercise training, right? And then I found a date where it was a week after one of the biggest military exercise that Korean Army does, right? And usually after big exercise, they have a rest period for about 3 weeks at least, right? Because after 4 or 5 weeks of heavy military exercise, you get tired mentally and physically. So they actually give about good 3 weeks. So anyway, so that's why I was like, okay, 1 week after this exercise, it'll be a perfect date because there's nothing that will stop me from going. I got the letter from two-star. Who's going to stop two-star, approved letter, right? So I was like, okay. So time came by, and then we were about to leave for that joint military exercise. Actually, sorry, I was about to show you guys some crazy pictures. This is only some of the pictures that I have from the Army. Let's next slide. So that's me, ROK Army, right? Again, I was, I had that evil thing in my mind, right? And the next one, and that's me right here. That's my guys that we did training with. And what's next? Okay. This is the church that I went, and then I met the guy, right? Sorry, I totally forgot about the PowerPoint slides here. Anyway, next. Anyway, okay, let's stop here. So you know how I scheduled that on August, right? In August, and time came, and then this exercise takes about 4 weeks. It's a 4-week exercise, right? So we basically all with a whole bunch of tanks. This was a joint Air Force, Army special op exercise, military exercise, right? So it's one of the biggest, right? So we'll go to this place, and where the F-15 will come, drop the bomb. A tank will go and it just start shooting, and then the special op will come in a helicopter. You can actually go to the next slides. That's my tank battalion. Next, and that's the F-15 will whatever it is to drop the bomb. And next, and this is one of the special op will come in, and then they'll do this crazy stuff. And next, again next, and that's where I was, right? That's the vehicle that I was in all the time. And in case something happens, we're the one who goes to, and most of the time, sadly, right, most of the time, if something happens bad, you will pick up dead body, right? You usually, if something goes wrong, when there's that crazy amount of exercise, it's hardly find. We do find injuries, but it's when injury gets pretty severe, it does get pretty severe, right? Anyway, that's out of story here. But anyway, so can you go back to the hurricane part? So that's a 4-week period military exercise, right? So I was like, okay. When we were about to get into that first week, so we were about to leave, and we had this huge hurricane in Korea. And then I got a call, or one of my buddy tell me, say, hey, the exercise, the military exercise has been postponed in a week. And I said it one more time. Yeah, we're not leaving this week. We're actually leaving next week. So did you see that how I calculated where if you finish the 4-week exercise, I'll leave after a week right here to US to take the test, right? But now this 4 weeks been shifted 1 week. Now I can't go because we're finishing that exercise on the day that I booked the flight, right? So I'm like, oh God, wow, what are you doing? You really don't want me to go, right? But you worked it out with the 2-star general. I mean, come on. Anyway, I was just praying, right? Okay, I mean, God, I'm sure you have some plan, right? So I went to do exercise, and the exercise was going as usual. No good news coming in. By the way, since this is one of the biggest exercise in military, in the Korean Army, the person who oversees this exercise, guess who it is? 3-star general. Okay, it's not 2-star; it's 3-star general. So he can overrule 2-star. Does that make sense? Right? 1-star can't overrule what the 2-star said, but 3-star can overrule what 2-star said. So that's what my captain told me. When he told me, he had a little bit of smile in the mouth, right? It's like, hey, it's a 3-star general. You might not go, right? I was like, that guy, man, I really want to punch him, right? But anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then about second weekend, about 3 days, I get this news, right? I get this news saying the 3-star general is very happy with the result of the exercise. He wants to finish the exercise early. 1 week. Man, you should have seen my captain's face when he heard that, right? So guess what? Miracle number 2, right? I was able to go to US. Right? I got into your plane, take the test, and I got the higher score than 20, obviously, all right? And then I got in. I still remember that face of the interviewer, Dr. Kaczynski. He's one of the guy that used to work at Melinda, and he knew me. Obviously, right? When I told him, hey, I didn't apply, but hey, this is my score, right? He's like, what? It's like, yeah, I'm the guy. And it's like, oh, you're the guy. He still remembered me after 2 years. It's like, here's a score. Bye, right? And then I was like, yeah, go. I'll see you next year, right? So pretty crazy, right? I mean, it's a miracle that I'm standing here today. So hindsight, right? Now I see that God had a plan for me all along, right? And then I think He wanted me to see that He's in charge, right? He wanted me to see that no matter how hard I want to be controlling, how I want to be controlling my life, He will lead me to where He wanted me to be, right? So I literally firsthand I saw Him intervening in my life, right? And I mean, some can say, I guess it's all just coincidental, right? But I mean, it's a pretty, I disagree, right? I think it's only through God's grace and His plan that I was able to take the test, got accepted, and become who I am today. So I mean, what can I say? I accepted my fate. He's in control, right? Can we just roll through and maybe read? Let's read this together. Actually, it's basically before Isaiah chapter 6 verse 8. This is the 7 verses that comes before it, right? So I'm just gonna read it really quick. In the year of that king, the guy Uzziah died. I saw, right? Isaiah saw the Lord, high and exalted, seated on the throne, and the train of His robe filled the temple. Above Him were seraphim with 6 wings. With the 2 wings, They covered their faces and to cover the feet, to head of flying. They were calling on out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." And then let's go down. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongue from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, "See, this has touched your lip. Your guilt is taken away, and your sins atoned for." So he saw, right? He saw, and he was touched. I think I'm gonna personally interpret this as a divine intervention. Okay, God intervened into Isaiah's life, right? So as God has intervened in Isaiah's life and my life, I pray that He will intervene in your life. It's not easy road, but I mean I think I had a heck of a road to become who I am right now, and then I actually thank God that He did, that He did give me these obstacles to overcome and go through. So I hope that we can all experience that. So when He calls, I hope that we can all say, "Here am I," you know, send me, because You are in control. Doesn't matter what I do, what we do, You are in control. Thank you. Let's close this with a prayer. Let's bow and I pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank You for giving us this time for me to share my story. Thank You for using me as Your vessel to speak Your word. God, as we go about our day, please be with us and help us to experience Your divine intervention, so that when You call us, we can say, "Just here am I, and send me wherever You want me to go." Could be just from our just daily life. It could be just next door. Wherever You want us to be, just help us to say, "Here am I." I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
We have announcements, and well, the first one is gonna be the next week. We have a nursing home ministry, 2:15 at the Federal Way Brookdale Foundation Center. So if you have time, so please come out. Last week it was a blast. I'm telling you, it was a blast. Well, not last week. Last time we were there, it was a blast, and everybody enjoyed it. I can tell you, we were having fun. The people are having fun. All of us are having fun. So if you want to sign up for special music, let me know so we can set you up for that. I think we may have one spot remaining for special music. So if you can let me know, I would really appreciate that. And it's gonna last only about 45 minutes from 2:15 to 3. So that's it's not a huge time commitment either. So we would love to have you there. And we are going to vote for the nominating committee on June 3rd. So if you're high school and up, and if you're a member of our church, please come out and vote for the nominating committee. That's gonna vote for the upcoming year of board members. So it's really important, and it's very important decision that we need to make. So if you can help us with that, and if you're not at church that day, we are going to have an absentee ballot on Sunday, May 28th through June 3rd on Linktree. And I know we don't have a picture right here on the announcements, but it's all in the newsletter. If you look there, then you will find all the information. We have a VBS coming. We need a lot of help. We need volunteers. We just need manpower. And Joan is going to be leading things out. And if you have a passion to help out the church with any way you can, just contact Joan, and then she'll set you up for that too. And we have a volunteers meeting on June 3rd, 1 p.m. So it's in about a month. So please come out for that if you're passionate about that. And we have bunch of summer events. We have barbecue on June 3rd, and we have on July 1st we have graduate recognition, and July 8th we have outdoor worship at the Steel Lake. Most of you are familiar with the Steel Lake. We have annual outdoor worship at the same spot, and we have BBS, and we have hiking retreat. So it's going to be on the Mount Baker. It's going to be really beautiful. It won't be like those the camping trips that we used to do. It'll just be like a hiking and a little bit of worship there too, of course. So it's going to be really fun. So if you're interested, please join us. And we have another outdoor worship on September 16th on Richmond Beach Saltwater Park. So, well, if you were interested in any of those, please look at the newsletter and you'll find more information there. Well, thank you very much for coming. We have potluck over there. Please join us, and thank you.
In the way